Hello, and welcome to the Early Childhood Health Consultation May webinar titled Put Your Own Oxygen Mask On First, Relaxing the Stress for ECE Professionals. As we get started with today's webinar, if you are interested in Spanish interpretation, please select the interpretation globe icon in the menu bar and select Spanish from the list. My name is Maria Morgan, and I'm the Assistant Director with Early Childhood Health Consultation. Our team is so excited for you to be joining the webinar today. Our program is in partnership with the Wisconsin Department of Children and Families, housed at University of Wisconsin-Madison School of Human Ecology, and funded by the Preschool Development Grant. Our program's mission is to support Wisconsin early childhood education providers, or ECE providers, in supporting their health-related questions and offering guidance on best health and safety practices. Our program's vision is for a sustainable and statewide program working through health consultation and ultimately supporting the health and well-being of children across Wisconsin. The Early Childhood Health Consultation Program acknowledges the American Indian tribal nations across Wisconsin and commits to a partnership to offer tailored support and best meet the needs of each tribal community. Our program offers general guidance on best practices for health and well-being in early childhood settings. Any questions about a specific child should be directed to that child's primary care medical home. For today's webinar, we will start with introductions, have central content, time for question and answer, and a few closing remarks. If you're interested in continuing education credit with the Wisconsin Registry, please stay tuned to the end of today's live webinar event. We will include a post-webinar survey link in the Zoom chat. Also, all registered attendees can expect an email following today's webinar with links to the webinar recording, the slides, and additional resources. Additionally, the recording will be made available on our website's video resources page and our YouTube channel. During today's live webinar event, there are a few different features. The first is the chat. You are welcome to enter comments throughout today's webinar directly in the chat. Use the drop-down selection to send your message to the host and panelists or to everyone. We also have the Q&A feature available. You are welcome to enter your questions throughout the webinar in the Q&A. Check the box to send the message anonymously. Also, if you're interested in Spanish interpretation, click the interpretation globe icon in the menu bar. Select Spanish from the list. You can also mute the original audio to only hear the interpretation. And with that, I will turn it over to our program director, Dr. Depesh Nazaria, to tell us a little bit more about today's webinar.
Thank you so much, Maria. Thanks to all of you for being here. I'm particularly excited about today's presentation because honestly, no matter what field you're in, knowing how to cope with the stresses of the work that we have to do, the many challenges that working with children and families bring to us is important. So I'm hoping to pick up a few tips today as well. So we'll be talking about those signs of stress. We'll be talking about relaxation techniques and also understand a little more about our friends at Healthy Minds, Healthy Children. And of course, the resources that we have here at ECHC. So I'm excited to introduce our presenters today, Geraldine Bell-Skaggs and Carissa Young, and I'll let them take it away from here. Thank you so much for being here.
Hello, everyone. Welcome and thank you so much for joining us this afternoon for Put Your Own Oxygen Mask On First, Relaxing the Stress for ECE Professionals. I am Geraldine, and I'm not going to read this bio because you can certainly do that yourself, but I just will highlight a couple of things that I truly do enjoy working with children, and I have done so in various roles and settings, including therapeutic foster care, Head Start, childcare, and currently in private practice. I also truly enjoy supporting caregivers in their role as they are interacting and working and supporting the little ones that they are that are in their care. One fun thing about me is a fun fact is I have played the flute in my grade school years, all through high school as well. And I learned sheet music very well. I could read sheet music, but I never did develop the talent to play by ear. So that was something I never could quite get. So along with me today is Carissa, and we will be sharing all this wonderful information with you, and I'm gonna let her introduce herself to you all.
Great, good afternoon. Thanks so much for having us again. My name is Carissa Vogel-Young. I'm also located out of the Milwaukee area. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and I specialize in infant and early childhood mental health. I do some in-office outpatient mental health therapy with little ones and their caregivers together, primarily working with children that are maybe involved in foster care, or who have been adopted or have a history of trauma. And the other half of what I do is related to infant and early childhood mental health consultation in ECE settings, and also providing reflective consultation and training to home visiting programs in the Milwaukee area, programs that work with pregnant and postpartum moms and babies. Thanks for having us today. So I'll just run through our objectives really briefly here so we can get into the good content of today. We want you guys to definitely use your chat if you have things you'd like to share and wisdom from your time in your roles as caregivers. Please share that with one another. We want you to be able to recognize when you might be feeling stressed. Sometimes there's some things going on that we don't realize is related to stress. So we want to just bring some awareness to that for you. Identify the benefits of relaxation to help address stress benefits for you and also for your classrooms. We're going to share some techniques that could be used for you personally and also in a classroom setting or with children as well. And then hopefully you'll grow a little bit of awareness around the Healthy Minds, Healthy Children program, where Geraldine and I provide mental health consultation to ECE providers. And is this one me too? Yeah, great. So let's just start that caring for little kiddos can be really stressful. Being caregivers can be very, very stressful. It brings up a lot of unique emotions. Being with kids all day just kind of cause like a different kind of emotional and physical exhaustion that not a lot of other professional fields really quite understand. You also have the unique challenges of your work environment, right? It makes it hard to even find the time to relax and decompress throughout the day. You're constantly having to be on and running and aware. And that takes a toll on your body over time, or even just over a couple hours of being in your centers. When our body's like stress response system, or you might have heard it called the fight or flight response system, when it's activated appropriately, that's great. You know, you want that. You want to be able to respond to danger very quickly and appropriately. But we get into trouble when the response is kind of constantly activated or provoked from day-to-day events. Over time, eventually that system can be like left on. And so we're really hyper aware, and our system is kind of always on alert when it doesn't really need to be. And that takes a toll on our bodies, on our mental health, on our physical health. So yeah, there's health consequences, there's mental health consequences for ourselves, and then also it can impact our relationships with the children in our care for a lot of different reasons. So, you know, if we're on edge more, we have more anxiety, or we're more irritable, that obviously impacts what we're bringing to the relationships with the kiddos or our co-teachers in our classrooms. And we know from research that nurturing, stable, consistent relationships are the key to healthy growth and healthy social and emotional development for young children. So it's so important that you care for your own physical and mental health, and that you care for yourself, because you are very important and vital, and so that you can care for the physical and mental health of the children in your care. Okay. Do you want to say anything before I start, Geraldine?
Yeah, so what we're going to do now is play a video. It is a guided mindfulness activity that can be helpful for you to be attentive in the present, the here and the now. And it takes you through an awareness of what you're experiencing in your body. It's only 3 minutes, it's short. And you can certainly do this activity pretty much any time throughout the day.
From mindless to mindful. To be mindful is to let your attention rest on this moment, on just right now. Let's practice being in the moment. Your body is still, right now. Can you feel that? Your breath is moving in and out of your nose. Can you notice that? Rest one hand on your chest. Can you feel your breath? Move that hand to your belly. Notice breath there. Can you feel that? Bring your hands around to your back. Breath might be moving there. Feel that? This bell is ringing right now. Can you hear that? Where is your attention? Did it wander? It's okay. That's what minds do. Let's practice a little bit more. Now this bell is ringing. Can you hear that? This green dot is still. Can you see that? Some of the other dots are moving. Notice that and then focus your attention on the very still dot. Return your attention to your body. Hands. They're still. Can you feel them? Feet are still. Can you feel them? You are here right now. Can you feel that? In this moment, you are mindful. Do you notice that? There are moments in your day when you can practice being mindful. When you are reading, just read. When you are tying your shoe, just tie your shoe. When you are chewing your food, just chew. Your mind can be full of one thing, one moment at a time.
I hope you were able to get a little practice of that just now. And the real nice thing about a mindfulness activity is that your mind can wander, and that's okay, because that's what our minds do. And you gently bring yourself back to the here and now and the present, and just redirecting your thought to the current experience. So, what is stress? What is this word? What does it mean? So we have a few definitions here, and as I go through them, I'd like to encourage you for a little bit of participation here to put in the chat which definition you think resonates with you. There is a reference as to where the definition came from in parentheses. So if you could just put the first letter of that reference And then we can kind of gauge which definition kind of resonates with you. So it would be either O, M, W, or C. So Oxford Languages describes stress as a state of mental or emotional strain or tension resulting from adverse or very demanding circumstances. Merriam-Webster says it's a physical, chemical, or emotional factor that causes bodily or mental tension and may be a factor in disease causation. The World Health Organization defines stress as a state of worry or mental tension caused by a difficult situation. And then the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention define it as how our body responds to pressures or tension. And as we're looking at these definitions, there is one consistent word in every single one, and that is tension. So I'm looking in the chat, I see several O's, I see several W's, a couple of C's, a lot of O's and a lot of W's are resonating with you all. And sometimes we have words that we just know what it means, but it's just hard to actually articulate a definition and a true meaning. So I hope that this, amongst these four, is helpful for you to kind of capture what stress is in words for you. Thank you so much for sharing that in the chat. So in looking at what are some signs of stress, we have it broken down into 4 categories, and they all can overlap with each other, certainly. But these categories are helpful to kind of conceptualize what are the signs and some symptoms. So the physical symptoms, and I do want to share too that what's listed here is not comprehensive. It's not a complete list, but just to give you some idea. So we've got chest pain, nausea, headaches, excessive perspiration, low energy, or fatigue. Those are some of the physical things you may experience. Cognitive symptoms can be memory problems, continuous worry, racing thoughts, difficulty focusing. So some of those more mental things that are happening. Emotional symptoms, what are we feeling? What emotions are going on? Overwhelmed, short temper, irritability, and feeling down. And then behavioral symptoms are what are we doing? What are our actions? What's happening behavior-wise? And we can have appetite decrease or increase, difficulty with sleep, and use of substances to help us to relax, such as alcohol or cigarettes, and then nervous habits, such as nail biting, pulling at our hair, biting a pencil, things like that. So these are some signs of stress that could be occurring. So here we have a word cloud of stress, and it looks quite condensed. A lot of words that are packed in there. Even reading the words that are in this word cloud might start to invoke a little bit of stress in you. But wanted to share what is the impact of stress that it can have on you as well as others. And in looking at this word cloud, it can interfere with your everyday life, just day to day, simple, basic tasks, it can definitely interfere with that and disrupt that. You may also notice that you're avoiding doing things because you don't want to have that stress. You don't want to feel that, so you're avoiding doing things. There's also the possibility of being at risk for an anxiety disorder. So one of the symptoms was that continuous worry. And if that is consistent and starts to become constant, that could possibly develop into an anxiety disorder. Also, declining health, any area of health, whether it's mental, whether it's physical, any relational health as well, any area of health, noticing that there's a decline in that. Unable to meet your needs and the needs of others. That's the impact that stress can have on us. Negative or unhealthy change in relationships with others. So, as mentioned before, the relational health, where the you notice relationships in your life may not be as strong, or may not be as healthy, may not be as positive as they used to. And also others may start to worry about you. They're seeing these changes that are happening in you, and they may start to worry, and question, hey, are you okay? What's going on? I'm noticing A, B, or C. So that's the impact that it can have on others as well, that they're noticing and they're questioning and asking to see how you're doing. So put your oxygen mask on first. I think all of you who have flown on an airplane before, you have heard the safety guidelines that they say on an airplane. And one of those guidelines are, in the event the cabin loses air pressure, this is what you are to do. So that mask is going to drop down, you grab it, put it on yourself, tighten the string on the side, and then you help the child next to you. And so as a caregiver, it's our inclination to put that child's mask on first, but you cannot help others if you are out of air. You can't help others if you are unconscious because of the loss of air. And you cannot help others if you are depleted. Your capacity to care for young children is dependent on you taking care of yourself. And so providing care to young children, we know it's an intense and demanding job, as Carissa had mentioned earlier. And it can be even more difficult when combined with other stressors that are happening in your life, such as financial, relationship, transportation, the car breaks down, the bus is running late, things like that. So just other areas of our lives where stress is happening on top of having this intense and demanding job as well. So we do want to make sure that we are taking care of ourselves, that we are filling up our cup and not running on empty, so that we can in turn be of that support and caregiver to our little ones. So it talks about stress. What are some symptoms and signs, how it impacts us, and what do we do to handle all of this? What is the antidote? It's relaxation. We have another word cloud here, and even visually looking at it, it looks more relaxed than that stress word cloud. The words are more spread out, not as condensed. And so I'm going to read a few more definitions for you. If you like, you can put in the chat. It's going to be those same letters, or you don't have to because I don't have it up on the slide here, but I definitely want to read them to you and just kind of think about which one resonates with you. So Oxford Languages describes or defines relaxation as the state of being free from tension and anxiety. Merriam-Webster defines it as being at rest or ease. The APA Dictionary of Psychology, and APA stands for the American Psychological Association, defines relaxation as abatement of intensity, vigor, energy, or tension, resulting in calmness of mind, body, or both. And then the Berkeley Wellbeing Institute defines relaxation as the absence of tension. So the benefits of relaxation are essentially the opposite of the effects of stress. As we look at this list here, we can see what our reaction to stress is and what our relaxation benefits associated with that. So that first bullet in the more of the physical symptom and sign of we could get physically ill. We could start to develop health issues that may not have been present before, such as hypertension. And so the benefit of relaxation is promoting physical wellness. We will physically feel healthier and less apt to develop physical illness. The second bullet is more of the cognitive. So the worry, the preoccupied thoughts. The relaxation benefit is promoting mental clarity, clear thinking and processing, being able to make decisions. All of that is going to be very helpful for your mental capacity and your cognitive. The third bullet is the emotional, labile moods, strained relationships. And so the relaxation benefit is promoting calmness, emotional stability, and healthy relationships. And then the last bullet is the behavioral. Unhealthy behavior changes, difficulty coping, like I mentioned previously, using substances to try to relax. Those are unhealthy coping mechanisms. But when we are able to relax in a healthy way, it promotes healthy behaviors. We're able to handle problems and stressors more effectively.
Thank you, Geraldine. So we're gonna jump into some of the good stuff because we probably know a lot about what happens to us when we are stressed, or maybe we're learning that, oh, I'm more apt to get every illness that's going around the classroom when I'm stressed versus when I have enough rest and feel okay. So let's talk about some things you could maybe try out and see if they work. These are just some ideas. Of course, there's lots and lots of other ways to care for yourself, and some of these ideas might not work at all, and some might work just a little bit. Some might work for a couple weeks and then stop working. You might need to change them up a little bit to fit into your lifestyle or into like your work environment, and into your unique situation based on, where you're working. These ideas we're sharing are also techniques that you can use with your students potentially. Maybe you find ways to weave some of these things into your regular routines so that children are also having opportunities to practice mindfulness or breathing, and you also get the benefit of enjoying that time and space with them and maybe taking a breath while they're taking a breath. We also want to encourage you to practice some of these things when you're calm, when you're relaxed, so that you know exactly what to do when you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed or irritable or you want to yell. There's a reason why you guys practice fire drills and tornado drills, and why we are highly encouraged to listen to those flight attendants when they're saying, hey guys, like, put your oxygen mask on first, right? It's easier for our brains to pull information during a crisis when we've practiced it ahead of time. It's more like second nature. Ugh, I'm noticing that my heart is beating fast and I really want to yell. I'm going to take a deep breath. I'm going to turn away for a minute. I'm going to practice this mindfulness exercise. But it's only because you've tried it when you're calm and you've practiced it over and over and over. So it becomes more of a second nature. It's not easy to do. You know, you're not failing if these things don't work. It's very hard to change our brains. But the neat thing is that we can make changes to some of our habits. So we'd love for you guys to share in the chat as we're talking, if anything comes to mind. Are there ways that you are always putting on your own oxygen mask first? What are you already doing in your classrooms that's working for you? Please share that with your colleagues because we can all learn a lot from each other. So the first one is just breathing in general. This is one technique that you could try. Take 5. Another one, a great one to use with little kids. Hey, we got to take 5 here, guys, right? Like you put your hand up, it means stop. We're going to breathe in and then breathe out and then breathe in and then breathe out. And you're going to do your whole hand. You can trace your whole hand. If they want to do their other hand, you could do it with you could trace the child's hand if you wanted. You could have the child trace your hand if you needed connection with them. You could just do it quietly under the seat so nobody sees you doing it. The cool thing about breathing is that you always have your breath. It's always with you. So if you're noticing those short, shallow breaths, it's a great time to take a nice, long, deep breath, but it's always there. And there's so much science and research around these breathing techniques. There's so many different techniques. There's a lot of science that has been and research that has been done on how breathing regulates your nervous system, calms your body down. We don't need to know all of it. And honestly, I don't think I understand all of the reasons behind it. You know, like you're getting more oxygen into your body and into your lungs, and it regulates your nervous system and your vagus nerve. There's all these things that happen, but really all that happens is it calms our bodies down. And that's all we really need to know. So there's, you might have heard it called deep breathing, diaphragm breathing, belly breathing. There's, 4, 7, 8 breathing, where you're breathing in for 4 seconds, holding it for 7, and then breathing out longer for 8 seconds. That's another type of breathing. There's another one that got real popular on TikTok recently. It's like the double breathing. So you take a big deep breath in, and then you take another quick breath, and then breathe out. I think they call it double breathing, but there's been research done on that way of breathing too. So if the take 5 breathing doesn't work for you, look up some of these other ways of breathing, you know, belly breathing, where you're expanding your belly and then pulling your belly in. So a lot of different ways. Maybe the double breathing works really well for you. And maybe it doesn't. So it's good to practice again when you're calm and relaxed, and can actually try it and see if it helps your body feel better. So like I had just kind of mentioned too, when we're stressed or anxious, our breathing tends to get really shallow and quick, and we're like kind of irregular, and we don't really notice that. And that's what mindfulness is, as Geraldine said earlier. It's really just about noticing in the moment. So you're noticing, oh, I haven't taken a breath in a while. That's mindfulness. Take a nice deep breath. So just by noticing that is some of the practice of mindfulness, noticing that you need a breath, that you need to pause, that you're not present in that moment. The lower parts of our lungs really don't get a full share of oxygen when we're not taking those really deep breaths, and that can make you feel more anxious and out of breath, of course, too. So slowing our breathing down, breathing mindfully, it signals your nervous system to calm down. There are no threats here. You are safe. It's going to be okay. And it can slow your heartbeat then, and then also could stabilize your blood pressure. So there's a lot of benefits, and I'm sure thousands of other things that it does within our body that we don't really need to know all about. Just know that it helps us feel better. So take 5. If you were on the last webinar that Geraldine and I did, we did a bee breath, and that's one I love to do with little kids too. So breathing in through your nose, and then bzzz on the way out. The humming or the buzzing also stimulates your vagus nerve and calms your nervous system. So I personally like to do that one, a deep breath in and then a sigh on the way out. Helps me feel more regulated. So I hope you guys are sharing. If you have other ideas in the chat, please feel free. Let's go to grounding. The last graphic you can find on the Etsy shop is listed on the PowerPoint slide. If that's something you'd want to go and purchase, they have bundles of other activities and ways to regulate. This one is a free one. I love this website. If you had a moment to go check them out, they have a lot of free printables, things you can put in your classroom or reminders you can have in your classroom, and some other things that you can purchase too if you were interested in some of their content. So grounding, it's a little bit like mindfulness, it's a little bit like breathing, but it just kind of brings us into the present moment. So we could do, if you want to take 5 and breathe, but then let's do 5 things you can see in the room. What are 5 things that are black that you see? What are 5 purple things that you see? Find 4 soft things that you can touch. 4 smushy things that you can touch. Close your eyes and listen for 3 different sounds. I can hear my computer, I can hear a truck, I can hear the vent. 2 things you can smell. Maybe not always pleasant in your classrooms. 2 things you can smell. And then 1 thing you can taste. You can mix those up a little bit. You don't have to do them all as is, kind of make it work for your classroom. Right? So maybe you just want to do 5 things you can hear, and that's a way to pause, everybody. And it's great for you too. You pause, close your eyes, get really present, pause, notice what's going on around you. And that brings you back to the present moment and regulates your heartbeat, regulates your breathing. Maybe then you're noticing you're taking those shallow breaths and you need a deeper breath. Okay. Another idea we had was just positive affirmations. These are so lovely for little kids and so helpful for us. There's also just, lots of research on how this is helpful and how our brains change over time if we are saying negative things to ourselves or if we are saying positive things to ourselves. The cool thing about brains at any age is that they can change. And so, if you wake up and you have a sticky note on your mirror that says, I can handle this, and you look at it every day and you read it every day, maybe you have one at work, eventually you do start to believe and know that you can handle it. These are just some ideas. There's, again, a free printable available at that same website that I mentioned earlier. You can find these anywhere though. So, go through, find one that really resonates with you. Maybe you have a kiddo in your classroom that gets really upset when they, can't do stuff. So I can handle it. I can do it. I can do it. Try again. So whatever that affirmation is, you can use that for yourself or you can use that for your kiddos too. And for breathing, affirmations, grounding, you might need a little reminder. So maybe you just put a sticky note or a little sticker, like on the back of your door or on your door handle, so that every time you open the door, you're reminded to take a breath. A group that Geraldine and I met with recently, they said that the second they walk out of their door for their breaks, they go, so that is their moment and reminder when they step out of their classroom is to take a deep breath. So finding a way to remind yourself. And then over time, don't forget to move those sticky notes around or those stickers around, because you're going to eventually forget that they're there and stop doing it. So put them in a new place so you remember to have your affirmations, to regularly take your breaths, or to regularly be mindful. Okay. Geraldine.
Yes. So we have a buffet for you all of relaxation techniques that we'd like for you to sample from. I'm going to quickly go through a brief description of each one so you know what we're talking about here. And then after, in addition to what you all said you already do, I'd like to encourage you to think of one that you think you would be open to trying and put that in the chat as well. So breathing exercises, Carissa covered that. Movement, so that would be taking a walk or a stretch, maybe just jumping jacks, things like that. A physical activity that feels good for you. And you could do that again in your classroom or just on your own scheduled break. Savor the flavor is appealing to your sense of taste and just keeping mints or gum handy in your pocket so that you can just pop in a mint, pop in a piece of gum at some point during the day. To appeal to your sense of taste. Serenade is appealing to your sense of sound and playing mellow music, such as smooth jazz or symphonic music. And so not to the point where you want to become sleepy, but just so that you're in a more like calmer, mellow type of mood. And again, you can incorporate this into your classroom or just during your own scheduled break time. The visualization, that is where you are mentally creating an image of a peaceful, calming place or situation. And you're mentally putting yourself there, and use as many of your senses as you can to experience that calm situation or place. The aromatherapy. So after ensuring that there aren't any food allergies in your classroom, bring one of your favorite foods and just smell it periodically throughout the day. That can help as well to help you to relax and appealing to your sense of smell. Positive affirmations, we went through that. Carissa talked about that as well. For bubbles, so blowing bubbles and watching them until they pop. That's a really nice mindful activity to do because it combines breath control with the mindfulness of being in the present, being in the here and now. I would suggest that you can do this with your class, but I would suggest trying doing it independently as well, so you can fully get the benefit of being in the moment and focusing on those bubbles until they can pop. For humor, you're watching a funny video, a clip from a comedy show, a clip from maybe your favorite comedian. And again, this is something you could just do on your own break time. For nature, connecting with nature, just stepping outside and being attentive to what nature offers, using your senses to experience what you're seeing, what you're feeling, the breeze, the sunshine, rain droplets, what nature has to offer us, and just taking a moment to absorb that. For massage, you're going to give yourself a hand massage or a scalp massage, and massage soothes tension. It's the motion of the rubbing can have a relaxing effect. So if you can use unscented hand lotion and just massage your hands and just focus on doing that, or massaging your scalp, that can be helpful. And then the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding technique, which Carissa also touched on. So we're hoping that these techniques will give you a little more variety, and you can switch it up and just do some trial and error and see what works for you personally when you're on your own break time, as well as what you think could be helpful to incorporate into your classroom and do together with your little ones. So when and how to get additional support. So when would be when you're experiencing recurring, persistent, seeming like constant signs of stress that we talked about earlier. Then that may be a good indicator of seeking some more support outside of your own self. And what I mean by that is outside of the strategies that you have tried on your own. So how to get that support is to request. You can request infant and early childhood mental health consultation. And the importance of being aware of your response and your reaction to stress and how that in turn is having an impact on your class and on the little ones. With infant and early childhood mental health consultation, you can access reflective supervision, and which is important for your work. And you would be meeting with a consultant to be able to just take that time to explore and wonder about what's going on for you, what's activating in you, and how to handle that in a healthy way. The consultation is a multi-level preventative intervention, and it pairs a mental health professional with adults, caregivers, providers who are working with young children and their families. And in doing so, it increases the adult or the caregiver's capacity to support the child's social, emotional, and relational health, so that our little ones can learn to grow, can learn and grow and develop in a healthy and positive way. So there are 4 levels of consultation that can be requested. And these are the levels here. The child family level is when, in the event that you may have a specific wondering or potential concern about a child in your classroom and you're needing support in that. That's one of the levels. Another level that's available is the classroom or home consultation, and that is consultation to support the classroom as a whole. There may be a pattern or like a classroom-wide issue that is going on, and you'd like some support with that. So that would be at that level. And then we also have programmatic, which are the level, which is the level for the site as a whole or the program as a whole. So things that can be of support in that way. Examples of that could be like family engagement, policies and procedures pertaining to the site or to the program. And then the community is at the community level, where consultation is doing like outreach, where presenting at this webinar, for example, is an example of that too, where we're looking at supporting the community as a whole.
Okay, thank you. So, infant and early childhood mental health consultation isn't about fixing the kids or fixing the caregivers, coming in and fixing the providers. It's also not therapy, but we also really understand the importance of relationships and having safe relationships between us and the providers and their co-teachers, and the providers and the directors, and everybody and the families. So it's really about caring for the caregivers and caring for these relationships that are so important. We really strongly feel that the parallel process is so important, meaning that we would love to support you so that you feel confident and competent in being able to support the kids in your classroom. So we want to be there to, hold all of those feelings that come up when you're working with young children, all those triggers or things that are happening when you're working with young children and their families, so that you can go into your classroom and take care of those kiddos in the best way possible. It is a free service. I saw that Corey put in the chat a link to our website, which I think is also on a slide coming up here. And I'll go to the next slide here that has the website, and just share a little bit of information about how to make a referral. If you think about the levels of consultation that Geraldine just talked about, so perhaps something related to stress, maybe that's because of one specific child in your classroom, and that would be, an individual referral. Maybe it's about like the stress between you and a co-teacher, and that would be a classroom level referral. But maybe you're noticing as a director even that a lot of your staff are feeling really stressed out. They're not able to take breaks like they're supposed to, or they, are having to work a lot, or they don't have additional support in the classroom. That could be like a programmatic level consultation referral where we can talk about how to make sure that people are getting the support that they need and what policies and procedures should be in place to support the staff at your program. So here's the website. You'll need, of course, the name of the person that you're referring. You don't have to put in all the information. Somebody from Healthy Minds will contact you to get more information, of course, if needed. You'll need to put in your contact information, the role of the person referring. So if you're the one making the referral for potentially the child in your classroom, also the county that you are providing service in, and then just like brief, reason for why you are looking for services. And then just want to run through some resources. This will be in the follow-up email with the links, so you'll be able to click on directly from the PDF that you receive as well. But just some additional resources for you guys to look into if you needed. The free downloads that we had in the PowerPoint presentation are linked here at the bottom. We aim as a resource for the state of Wisconsin, any infant and early childhood mental health training opportunities, including like the pyramid model. Healthy Minds, Healthy Children does have its own website related to consultation, and you can see that there. And I imagine many of you are familiar with the other resources listed, but feel free to check those out. Okay.
So for social emotional materials, Healthy Minds, Healthy Children would like to provide materials to providers that will help to promote social and emotional development for the kiddos that you're serving. And to access that, there is a link there that you can click. You will need to put in a code word to receive those materials, and the code word is tension. The code word is tension. I believe that link will be placed in the chat as well. And then if you are looking to refer to the recording, it is a hyperlink. So please look for that in the emailed slides for this webinar. So you won't be able to just click on it when you're watching the recording. You will need to refer to the emailed slides. And again, the code word is tension. So this is how to connect with us. Again, our website, phone number for Healthy Minds, Healthy Children, our physical address as well. You can reach out to us to, any further questions you may have about our consultation services, as well as to make a referral. And we are at the point of questions. Thank you so much for tuning in. We hope this has been helpful. And so we'll move forward with questions at this time.
Thank you so much. That was such a wonderful presentation from both of you. And always great when people get to walk away with free resources as well as an added bonus. So I invite people to put questions that they might have into the chat or using the Q&A feature. Seeing a thank you coming in. I'll ask a question perhaps while we're waiting to see if anyone has questions, although I think it's because they're all busy using the relaxation techniques we've reviewed and are so relaxed right now that no questions are coming to mind. I wonder what sort of advice you might have for a early childhood educator who says, I am, trying my best, but I'm feeling that this isn't even just about me struggling with a child. This is me? How do I know when I need more help? Is there something that you think is a particular sign or indication that they should reach out for more help?
Yes, I would say those symptoms that signs and symptoms that we went through, the physical, cognitive, emotional, behavioral, if you're noticing that it's starting to be more consistent or persistent, that would be an indicator of needing some more support. And if we're looking to get that consultation for that has an impact. So let me back up a little bit. So that has an impact on the class as a whole. So it'll probably be most appropriate to request a classroom level consultation for us to come in and support that educator in their own stress, so that in turn they have the better capacity to serve in their and provide the care in their classroom.
And I see a question that was answered in the chat about where consultation services are available. It sounds like right now all across the state, which is wonderful. There's a question in the Q&A. To your knowledge, can hormonal changes cause stress levels to go up?
Yes. A great question. I am going to assume that it may be a female that could potentially be having like perimenopausal type symptoms related to hormones. That is certainly correlated, absolutely. And luckily there's a lot more research now than there really ever has been, and people paying attention to how that impacts women as they age. But yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great consideration. And it goes back to what Geraldine was just saying too. You know, if you're noticing that this is just not how I used to be, things are always really stressful, I'm always feeling irritated, I can't handle the kids anymore, then it's, yeah, a good time to get some extra support. That maybe something else could be going on, and it could be hormones. Could be a lot of other stuff going on. Lives are pretty chaotic and stressful in general.
Yeah, I'll just add on to that. I think it's a great question, and I agree with everything you said. I'll also say that people should be careful to not say, oh, well, it's simply just that, and therefore not seek help or not look for other sources of stress, because it may be completely unrelated, or it could be complicated and be multiple things, of course.
Yes, yes. And especially nowadays, I feel like there's so many factors that are going on in our world that can contribute to mental health and wellness. It's important to think about. Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm not seeing additional questions at this time, and believe it or not, we are at the top of the hour, so I'll turn it back over to Maria. Thank you again for that amazing presentation. Maria, take it away.
As we wrap up our time together today, the Early Childhood Health Consultation Program would just like to highlight various services that are readily available to help support your health and safety questions. In addition to webinar trainings such as this one today, we also have a podcast titled Teachers, Toddlers, and Tissues. We have an on-demand resource library found on our website and a growing number of health consultation service locations with the goal of statewide support. As you see on the map here, the Plum locations are our growing number of health consultation service locations, with currently approximately about 4,000 active early childhood providers within our health consultation service locations. You are welcome to go to our website for more details. We invite you to check out our podcast. The collection is growing every month with a new episode and now has 14 episodes available across major platforms. We invite you to also save the date for our future webinars. Check out future events on our events webpage. You can also reach us in numerous forms: phone call, text, email, our website contact form, and also on social media. We like to say a special thanks to the many early childhood providers who offer us ongoing guidance, including our very own advisory board of early childhood professionals. We like to thank our colleagues from other childcare health consultation programs across the United States, our current project partners, and our past project team members. As we wrap up today's webinar, we'd like to direct your attention, if you're attending the live session, to the chat. That's where the post-webinar survey link will be included. This is a great place for you to share feedback on ways we can improve future webinars, and also to enter your information if you're interested in continuing education credit with the Wisconsin Registry. Following the event, registered attendees will receive a link to the webinar recording and a link to the Qualtrics survey just in case it's needed. And then following the event, any attendance entered through the post-webinar survey will be entered directly with the registry. If you are watching the recording of today's webinar event, feel free to check out the continuing education log through DCF if you're interested in credit. Again, I'd like to direct your attention, if you are in the live session today, to the Zoom chat. That is where you will find the Qualtrics post-webinar survey. And with that, I will turn it back over to Dr. Nazaria for closing remarks.
Thank you so much, Maria. Thank you again to our friends at Healthy Minds, Healthy Children. We really appreciate you for spending this time with us and providing this valuable information to all those folks out there who are busy working day in and day out with the children of Wisconsin. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.